Wheel it, and you will know. That's the single best advice that I can give to help figure out what mods, if any, your Jeep really needs. As far as Pippi goes, I think it's pretty clear what one of them might be. In fact, it's one of the very first mods that Cindy and I have made on pretty much all the Jeeps we've owned and still own. I am, of course, talking about a stubby front bumper. As much as I'm sure that Pippi's big, beautiful factory front bumper helps to improve fuel economy, it really is big and very much in the way, especially when you're out on the trail. And while I can live with the rock rash that you're sure to get, there really is a benefit to just opening things up. Specifically, a stubby bumper will dramatically improve your Jeep's approach angle by allowing you to nose your tires right up to the face of an obstacle. This, as opposed to smashing your bumper into them. So, what stubby front bumper will we be installing? You guessed it, a factory steel Rubicon one. Fortunately, this is a bumper that we pulled off of Jet a few years back, and so Pippi will be getting this as a hand-me-down part. But even if we didn't have one of these laying around in our garage, I would have gone looking for a used one on Craigslist or the like. As you've heard me say time and time again, our purpose with Pippi is to keep her as stock or as stockish as possible. And I think this still qualifies for just that. So, let's get this thing installed. So, the first thing I'm going to need to do is remove the plastic air dam. And to do that, I'm going to be using an 8mm socket to remove the 2 bolts securing it to the bottom of the frame rail extensions. Now, I'm going to use a pry tool like this to remove the 8 plastic fasteners securing the air dam to the front bumper. While I've got my pry tool handy, there are 2 additional plastic fasteners that need to be removed as well. Okay, now it's time to unplug the wiring for the fog lights. And as you can see here, it's plugged into a connector that's attached to the passenger side frame rail. To unplug it, you just need to push on this gray tab right here and then pull the plug out. All right, time to remove the front bumper. And to do that, I'll be using an 18mm deep socket to remove the 8 nuts securing it to the ends of the frame rails. All right, I think this thing needs to go next. And if I'm right, a 16mm socket's going to be needed for that. And just like that, the bumper is off. All right, before we can get the bumper installed, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna need to install these guys. But I think we might have a slight problem. So a Rubicon would have a couple of nutserts that look just like this attached to these holes right here. And obviously we do not have them. So I'm gonna have to find some nuts and bolts to secure this in place. All right, let's see if these will work. Yep. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, moment of truth. All right, so using the factory nuts, we can go ahead and secure the bumper in place onto the frame rails. All right, since it was kind of a pain to remove the nuts using a ratchet, I'm going to speed things along this time around by using my impact. All right, need to set this to 66 foot-pounds of torque. That's 50, 65, 6. Before I forget, I'm going to go ahead and plug in the fog light wiring. Click. All right. Last but not least, the air dam. Now, I should point out that this is something that Cindy and I debated whether or not to install. Certainly, none of our other big builds have one on, and mainly because they do eat up a lot of ground clearance. But at the risk of losing more fuel economy than I'm sure we already have by installing this Rubicon front bumper, we thought, what the heck. All right. You know, at least this thing is steel, so it should double as a skid plate. Okay, using a 13mm socket, I can now zip them in place. Now that looks great. Functional too. And I might add, still 100% stock. I guess there's one more thing. There.